Hello! Before we get into the video, I wanted to let you know that I launched my Undated bullet journal. This is a full bujo with pre-designed spreads, so you don't have to spend time making art, and instead can just customize this journal for yourself. It's also undated, so you can start it whenever you want, or skip a month. If you're interested, I'll have the link below to my online shop. Okay, love you, hope you enjoy the video. Hello, beautiful people of the internet. Welcome to my March 2024 bullet journal setup. I'm filming this video a little early. It's currently February 17th, so it doesn't feel like March at all. It barely feels like February. But of course, this month always goes by super fast, so I'm super excited to be here and to be sharing the setup with you guys. I actually had this theme in mind for like a couple weeks before I filmed. I usually come up with themes last minute, and I always say this on my channel that it's like the night before I film, I'm always like racking my brain like what to do and trying to sketch out things. And best believe I did wait until last minute to actually sketch these spreads because I am a procrastinator at heart. But I had the idea for these spreads a while ago, so I'm super excited to actually put my vision on paper and share it with you guys. Before we get any further in this video, I do want to let you know that I did this for January, but I didn't do this with February. I am going to be selling digital printables of this bullet journal theme on my online shop. So I will have the link down below. It's themangostudio.com. You can go check it out. It's completely digital, so you can print them from whatever. And I hopefully will have a cover page in color, but all the rest of the spreads will be in black and white line art, so you guys can color them in yourself if you prefer using a different color palette or whatever it is. So completely customizable for you guys. And yeah, link below if you want to go check that out, and I hope you guys enjoy those printables. So what is my March bullet journal theme, you may ask? And originally it was just going to be frogs, because for some reason when I think of March, I think of March and I think green, which could be because of spring. It also could be because of St. Patty's Day. But more than anything, when I think green, I immediately go to frogs and lily pads, and that's like what I think of for March. So I was really surprised that I have never done a frog theme before. Part of me thinks that it's because it's a relatively common theme in the bullet journaling niche, but I'm trying to teach myself that not everything I do has to be completely original, because I'm going to run out of ideas, and also it's popular because it's probably something cute. So I'm doing my own twist on it, obviously, but I mean, just because it's a popular thing doesn't mean that I can't do it. So I'm doing a frog theme, and you can see that I actually wrote March 1st in orange, which is not green at all. So you're like, Sophie, where are you going with this? Well, my color palette for this month is going to be pinky orangey with greens and then blues. So I wrote March 1st because I wanted to do an ombre effect on the lettering. I'll talk about that in a minute too. And then I'm going to draw the frogs around it. I'm going to draw the lily pads, and then in the background it's going to be the water with the blue that everything is kind of floating on. So I had this idea, like I said, a long time ago. Well, okay, a long time ago being like a week or two ago. But it's really very simple. And after 2 months in a row of very intense bullet journal themes, like in January, I did watercolor painting of whales, and I never paint. And then last month I did another alcohol marker drawing of like a vampire in a dark room with like candle effects. So things were like glowing in the dark and super intense, like blending and stuff like that. Basically, those are like very high intensive bullet journal spreads that made it a little difficult going into the weeklies, thinking of, designs to make, because I didn't have the freedom of time to spend a lot of time making, very decorated and artsy decorations to put in those spreads. So because of that, I decided for March I want to do something a little simpler in the art style and basically just do glorified circles. Honestly, lily pads are glorified circles, and so this will be an easier theme that I'll be able to use for weekly spreads. And it's also using a very simple medium of just water-based markers, because once again, the other mediums that I've used recently, like paint and sparkle pens and alcohol markers, are great and I love them, but it also requires a lot more time to use. I find myself going through these phases of really intensive art and then kind of chill. And you guys will see that this is definitely a very maximal setup. I'm not saying that it's it in fact took me 3 hours to film this video, 3 hours consecutive of filming. So it actually took longer than that because it was only 3 hours of footage, but I do take breaks. And then also it is a very maximal theme. So all of the spreads are going to be very heavily decorated. However, it reminds me of December of last year. I did what I called going back to my roots and basically just doing a normal theme with black line art and water-based markers to color it in, kind of like a coloring page. And that's what I'm doing here. And it's something that I don't do, well, I kind of do very often, but I like to be really extra and experiment and test myself. But then on the flip side, I also go through waves of wanting to do something simpler. So I guess I'm on the simpler wave right now. Maybe in a couple months I'll go back to doing something painting wise or using alcohol markers. But for now, this is what we're going to be doing. And I'm really excited about it. It turned out super cute and fun and super bright colors. So I'm really excited to show you guys the final spreads when they're all completed. Okay, so for the art itself, the first thing I did for this page was obviously do the lettering for March, and it's because I wanted to do an ombre effect here, and then I wanted to outline the ombre after I had used my brush pen, and then I can go in and ink everything else. So I did the lettering first, and as you can see, it's an ombre, and I never do ombres anymore, but when I was filming last week's video, which was a flip through of an old bullet journal from 2020, I was inspired by like how creative I used to be, and I'm still creative, but like it's a different version of it, so I really wanted to try something that I used to do a lot, which is ombre lettering. A couple weeks ago, I posted a calligraphy tutorial for beginners, and I really recommend you guys going and watching that if you want to know a lot of beginner basics for calligraphy, at least my version of calligraphy and hand lettering. I think it's a great video. However, I didn't talk about fun things like ombre and shadowing and stuff in that video, so I'll do a quick little tutorial of what I did here. But basically, I picked 3 different colors of the same orangey pinkish color, but it's just in different like lightnesses. I don't know the professional word, but like one is super light, one's medium, and one's dark. I think it's tone. No, value. That's what it is. It's different values of the same like peachy orange color. So I started with the super light color and lettered March really big across the page, and then I went on top with a medium color and added like darker streaks to the top of each part of the letter, and I did it one more time with an even darker like orangey peach, and this made this ombre effect. And I went in afterwards and kind of blended it out with the lightest marker so that it kind of made an ombre effect. It's not perfect, but the effect is definitely still there. And then once that was done, I could go and outline it with a black fine liner, but I wanted to outline it afterwards because I wanted to use my brush pen itself to create the dramatic shape of the lettering. And so whenever I actually like outline lettering, it's a lot easier than having to like use a pen and sketch out what the lettering will look like before it's even written, if that makes sense. So I outlined it afterwards, and then I can go in and do all the rest of the line art for the rest of the cover page. So as you can see, the rest of the cover page is, like I said, frogs and lily pads. And I actually got a comment, or someone reached out to me like earlier yesterday talking about how they wanted a couple ideas for like simple bullet journal themes that were easy to draw. And I think this is actually one that might fall into that category because, like I said a little bit ago, lily pads are glorified circles. Like they're circles with a little like Pac-Man divot in it. So this was really easy to draw. The only thing that may hold me back as far as saying it's super easy are the frogs. I had never drawn frogs before, so I did have to kind of teach myself, but I used a photo reference and it was pretty simple. It's just like one big blobby body with like, you know, limbs sprawling out like they're pancaking on the water, like a belly flop. And then they seem to have 4 like fingers or whatever on their hands, and then 3 toes on their feet. I'm sure those are not the proper anatomical terms for frogs, but you guys get the gist. And then huge eyeballs. So they're not like perfectly realistic frogs, but they're cute and I like them. And then besides that, it was basically just drawing like circles and flowers across the page to make the lily pad effect. Now, as far as the water effect in the background, this can probably be a little confusing. So I'm gonna do a second tutorial here as well. And I actually may do this in real to kind of show you the process, but I was inspired by Sheila on Instagram. I think her handle is lollipop lettering or something like that. A couple years ago, she did a theme that was water, and it's basically just water like reflecting like a pool. And I used her technique for when I did this. So basically I took 3 different shades of blue yet again. I took the medium one first, and in the background of all of the art here, I just drew like these blobby shapes very randomly, but I made sure to leave a tiny little gap in between all of the blobs. Then I took the darker of the 3, or the darkest of the 3, and I did a little line on each of the blobs on the left and top sides of it, because essentially the gap in between these blobs is the negative space, but in the context of like a real photo, that's supposed to be light reflecting off the top of water. So of course light leaves a shadow, so if there is a light on the top, then there should be a shadow to the right and bottom of it. So even though I'm drawing the darkest part of the blue on the left and top of each of the medium colored blobs, they're actually supposed to be shadows of the white lines. Does that make sense? I don't know, but like I said, I'll hopefully post a tutorial on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts to kind of show you guys this in more detail. And honestly, it's not the most realistic picture, because if there were actually like frogs and lily pads, the water is probably not clear enough to see the shadows and reflections like I drew over here. But it's my bullet journal. I make the rules, and to give it just a little bit more realism, I added shadows also to the right and bottom of each of the lily pads and frogs to kind of make them pop from the background. Same thing goes for the lettering. I did a little drop shadow on the right and bottom sides of each of the letters as well in that dark blue, but only on the blobs, not on the white highlights. So I hope that made sense. I know it was kind of like an all over tutorial. It's super hard to explain. Like I said, it's more of a visual thing, but you can see my process as I'm drawing it it for sure. So I hope you guys can, you know, understand it and also maybe replicate it, because like I said, it's not a super hard theme, all things considered. And so if you're looking for theme ideas to do that are not too art intensive, it's more just like coloring, this might be one you guys want to replicate. Okay, we're moving on to the next page, which is going to be my March trackers. I'm doing something very similar to the front page, which by the way, I don't think I ever mentioned this, but as you guys probably saw, I had the cover page on the right and then I did the calendar on the left. So flipping over the page, I have my habit trackers on the left. We're going to be doing 9 habits this month, mostly because I had enough space to do 9. It looked stupid just having 6 here, so I only need to track 6, but I'm adding 3 extra ones, kind of like fun trackers, like did I read today, that kind of thing, just to fill up that extra space. And then on the right is going to be my expenses tracker, which is basically just one big chart with 3 columns, one for the date, the description, and then the amount that I spent or earned that day. On the top, I'm going to be doing a very similar art style to the cover page, so I don't really want to explain it again because it's basically the exact same thing, just minus the frogs. And this is one thing about this particular theme, and also most themes for some reason that I do that are done with water-based markers like this, and you're just coloring directly into the journal. Because I'm doing a very repeated style, it makes it easier to translate this art into weekly spreads, because it's basically the exact same technique of doing, you know, lily pads, ombre lettering, and then the blue water in the background. Last month for February, I did something really cool with the girl in the window, but it's something that's harder to replicate, so it's harder to make the exact same artwork, or at least similar artworks in the weekly spreads. But with something like this, because I don't have to use separate paper, I'm literally just drawing in the journal, and it's something relatively easy, it'll be easier to make weekly spreads, and that was my ultimate goal for March. It's going to take me a second to get to this part of the spread, but I'm actually going to be coloring in the habit trackers on the left with actual, like completely coloring in with color, and then whenever I actually go in and fill out the trackers, I'm just going to be doing black dots on top. I'm doing this because I wanted to do something super colorful this month, and you guys could see that on the cover page. It was really colorful and loud, but I think March is like a weird transition between winter and spring. We want to bring in spring so bad, but it's, let's be so real, it's still foggy, it's still rainy, it's still kind of cold sometimes. And so having something super happy in my bullet journal like this is something that I think is kind of important, because it gives me like a lot more excitement about spring coming up instead of focusing about the really bland weather outside. Especially where I live, it's just so mid every day. It's not warm, but it's not cold. It's like somewhere in between, and I just wanted something really bright and colorful. But that being said, the habit trackers are going to be filled in with color, and what was great about having 3 values, that's the word I was looking for, of each color was that I could use lighter colors to fill this in and it will still show black writing on top of it. Like when I fill in the habit trackers, I'm using the lightest shade of orange, green, and blue, but I also have darker shades that I eventually used for the art itself, and that's why it's important to have different versions of the same color, not only to add shadows to something and make it darker, but also to be able to do something like this. Like for example, on the expenses tracker, I'm going to be using my lightest blue to add a gingham effect in the back of the box, and if it was super dark colors only that I was using, I wouldn't be able to actually make this effect because the color would be too dark to write on top of with a black pen later in the month. But because I have lighter versions of each color, I have the freedom to do this, and it's super exciting, and also it's going to help me add more color just to the rest of my spreads, because I can fill in any extra white space with a blob of something cute like that. Since we're a little more than halfway through the video, if you're watching to this point, I assume that you like my video and my content. So if you're not subscribed already, please go subscribe down below. I post bullet journaling and productivity videos and also reading journal videos every single Saturday, along with shorts almost every other day of the week. So I would love for you to join the family. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the rest of the spread is kind of like what I already explained. So I'm gonna talk about some just general life updates right now, because why not? I feel like I haven't really like chatted with you guys in a hot second just about what's going on in my life. So I'm in university. That's basically what's going on right now. No, I was like writing my general outline. It's not really a script, it's a general outline for this video for my voiceover, and I was trying to think of like what I wanted to talk about, and I put, you know, life updates, and then I sat there and thought for a hot second about, you know, what's going on with my life that I want to update the people on, and I was like, there's nothing. Like, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis? I couldn't even think about it. But that's not true. That's not completely true. I do things. But university is taking up a lot of my life right now, you know, heavily into the second semester. So a lot of things going on, exams, projects, assignments, and I'm always just, I feel like I'm catching up to, and then I'm running behind. Like I'll get things done, I feel accomplished, just to come back the next Monday and have 4 more projects and exams due that exact week. So definitely a lot going on, but that's my main thing that I'm working on right now besides content, is just excelling academically, which is definitely important. One thing I want to talk about though, and I think I talked about this in one of my goals video at the beginning of the year, was cameras. So I am currently majoring in marketing and film, so double majoring, and in my film major I'm taking multiple classes where we're using cameras and like we're experimenting with this, you know, and I've never actually used a real camera in my life before, especially a video camera. Well, okay, I've used photo cameras, but like not video cameras, and so it's been super inspiring and like interesting to see like the professional cameras that we have access to on campus and to play around with them and use them. And it really inspired me to work towards this goal I have for myself this year, which is to buy a camera to improve my content. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I definitely want to do it because if you guys didn't know, I started my channel back in 2020. So for the past 4, almost 5 years, I've been using my iPhone to film everything you see, literally every YouTube video, every TikTok reel, short, it's all on my iPhone. I do have the iPhone 13, so the camera quality is very good, but it's not like anything professional. If you have a phone, like any phone, and it has a camera in it, you can make content, guys. So that's literally what I've been doing for everything. However, I really do want to up my quality a little bit, and also because I am a film major, I would love to have a camera to use for other personal projects as well, that way I don't have to use my phone to record everything. So I'm really excited and hopeful that this year I'll be able to buy one. I'm definitely going to ask my film professor about, you know, what camera she recommends for the kind of content that I make and the kind of projects that I want to do in the future. But I will hopefully by the end of this year, you guys will see an upgrade in the content quality, just because I'm super excited about it. And trust me, if that does happen this year, you guys will know. I will be talking about it for so long, I'll probably bore your ears off. As far as any other updates, let's see, I got contacts. Well, I've had contacts for a while technically, but I've been like trying different prescriptions because we couldn't like quite get it right. But now we finally have a system that like works. So I bought permanent contacts. I still have glasses and I go back and forth between using them. But some videos you'll see me with contacts, some videos you'll see me with glasses. Some videos you don't see my face at all, like in this video, except for whenever my head just pops into the camera and takes up all the space. There was a comment yesterday on one of the videos saying that my hair that I apologized for that kept popping in, the lady said that my hair just wanted more screen time, and I was like, that's so real. Honestly, when I film, I don't mean to get in the camera all the time, but like in this video, you can see my head and my big forehead a lot, so I apologize. But at this point, I've made so many videos with my head got in the way that it's like, is it really a Mingo Studio video if my head is not in the way? I don't think so. You know, maybe when I get my camera, I'll be able to do a 2-angle version of these videos, and I can kind of cut to the other camera if my head's taking up too much screen time. Oh my god, as I'm literally saying this right now, you can see my freaking forehead and my eyelashes on this on the screen. I'm really sorry that I got in the way yet again, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. We're here for the bullet journaling, and you just get a side of Sophie's forehead in the video as well. I'm trying to think. Another thing that's been going on recently is I haven't been reading, which is ironic to me because number one, I'm always reading a lot. Like even when I'm going through slumpy periods, I'm always reading something, you know? And also, I literally last month just started a new series on my channel, which I'm going to be doing monthly reading wrap-ups and reading journal spreads put together, which by the way is a video that I was really excited to post, but when it first went out, it didn't do amazing. It did fine, you know, it was like middle of the road, but I was just like, you know, hopefully they like this video. But then all of a sudden they got like an uptick in views randomly, and I was like, oh, that gives me a lot of hope because this is a video that I really wanted to make. I love talking about the books that I'm reading, and I'd love to introduce more of that content onto this channel because it's something I can always talk about, are books. So that was like super exciting that you guys liked that video and that it's doing well. So look out for that video coming next week, which is going to be my February reading wrap up. But on the topic, is there much to talk about in that video? I don't know, because I'm kind of reading 3 books at once, which, okay, I know it's kind of crazy sounding. It's because I'm reading 1 book for classes, and so that's one of them. And then I'm currently reading the second Crescent City book that I talked about last wrap-up video. However, I kind of paused that book because my sister was going to read a certain book that I'm not going to spoil because this is all going to be in the next video that I post, but she was going to read a certain book that I wanted to buddy read with her that I used to read when I was a kid. So I paused Crescent City, read that book, and now I'm reading something else, and I still haven't gotten back to Crescent City. So it's like I'm technically reading 3 books at once. But all that being said, where I usually read like 4 to 5 books every month, I'm currently not finished with 3. So it's like for my reading wrap up, I only have one book that I've actually finished in February. And so I'm like, hopefully I'll be able to finish at least one of these 3 books in the next week before I film that other one for my wrap up. And then also maybe I'll put in the video like books that I'm making progress on but haven't actually finished yet, because otherwise that'll be a real short video if I only have one book to show you guys for the entire month of February. But I do appreciate all of you guys who like commented on that video and let me know that you wanted to see more reading content in the future. It was really inspiring and like it was good. I was really excited about it. So I'm really happy that you guys like that kind of content and want to see more, because I am happy to make more. Anyway, with that being said, so obviously we're at my academic planner and this is the last part I'm making in this video. I hope you guys like this spread and this theme. I really like it. It brings me like, it makes me all smiley. I think it's just super cute and happy. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I do have printables that I will hopefully be finishing in the next week. Like I said, I'm filming this the week before it comes out, but I'll finish them, don't worry. So they'll be launched on my online shop as of the time that you guys are watching this. So the link will be down in the description box below, themangostudio.com, so you guys can go shop those printables. They're measured to fit A5 size, but you can print them technically whatever size you want to fit whatever journal you want. So anyway, I hope that you guys take advantage of those, and definitely tag me on Instagram if you use those printables. I would love to see them. With that being said, here is my final flip through for March 2024. I hope you guys love this theme. I certainly do. Again, subscribe down below so you guys don't miss, because I post every single Saturday bullet journaling, productivity, and reading content. Sending you guys all of my love. Hope you have an amazing month of March, and I will see you very soon.